This conference will now be recorded.
Folks, I'd like to thank everybody that's on our webinar for today. My name is Brian Weaver. I'm the VP of Sales with NSA. I'd like to thank everybody for your attendance. So today's session is number 46 in NSA's Professional Services series of webinars, Protecting Your Business from Cyber Attacks with Datto. So today we're going to cover a few different areas. This is just kind of a synopsis of that. Traditional backup versus business continuity, they're very different. And our presenter today is going to make sure that we cover those, the vast difference that we have there. Cyber threats, it's continuing to grow, over 15 million and counting, annually these days. So it's a very important topic. The risk to your business and the immutable chain technology, which is a Datto exclusive, that'll be covered as well. So I'm your host, and I would ask that anybody that's interested in a follow-up following this webinar that you please contact me. This is my phone number and my email address. Also, if you want to take advantage of the promotion that we'll be covering at the end of today's webinar, please contact me for next steps. Thank you. A little bit about NSA for those that may not be familiar. NSA has been around since 1984. The NSA Touch is our personal commitment to the success of our clients. Our clients that have worked with us for a number of years certainly understand that. We basically look to go above and beyond for anything and everything distribution related. The ERP solution as well as other elements such as Datto, our example of today. We've got full-time consultants that are 15 years plus in the field, over 22 years in distribution, the largest and most experienced team for SXC and Cloud Suite in the space, including Infor as well. Our ERP solutions for distributors is the Infor SXC and Cloud Suite, and we focus almost exclusively in the distribution space. In the NSA Plus is what we call our services that enhance the utilization of your ERP. All those add-on solutions that make your ERP system better. So what I'd like to do is introduce Liz Cummings. She's our presenter today. Liz has 20 plus years in the technology space. So she's been around for quite a bit in this arena. She's our channel sales manager. She's my primary point person at Datto, and she's been great to work with. And she's gonna be the one that's gonna keynote our session through the day today. So with that, Liz, take it away.
Yes. Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us here today. Appreciate the introduction, Brian. Nothing but a pleasure working with NSA, one of our valued Datto partners in the Northeast. So for those of you that do work with them, you're in great hands. For those of you that don't yet, you're in good hands with Brian and his team at NSA, should you choose to go with them. As Brian mentioned, I am with Datto. For those of you that are not familiar with Datto, we're the world's leading provider of business continuity solutions. We were founded in 2007. I invite you to get on YouTube and look up the story of the founding of Datto. It's actually one of Connecticut's success stories. Here we are in the Northeast, and we are, one of the most dramatic and successful stories of a technology startup from that time in 2007. We have 23 offices globally with 9 private data centers. Very, very important. This is the backbone of what we offer. We have regional data centers where we house and protect all of the data for our clients, something that makes us, a really strong provider in this space. This slide, at the time of this slide, we have more than 700,000 small and medium businesses in the United States that are protected with a Datto solution. I believe the number now is well over 1 million, and we recently went through an acquisition with another company called Kaseya. So I don't have the new figures there, but it's dramatically higher than what is reflected on this side. Datto exists to protect America's small and medium businesses. It's a mission that we're very proud of. Our Cirrus technology that you'll be hearing about today was invented for this sole purpose alone. It was invented to take the level of protection that you can get in an enterprise level company and deliver it in a device and a price point that America's small and medium businesses could afford. And we're proud of that mission. We have more than 1,800 employees growing and growing worldwide. Again, those numbers are much higher now because we had a recent acquisition, but we're a major player in the space. Many of you might be familiar with the name Datto. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to protect your business from cyber crimes. The term cyber crimes, ransomware, maybe 5 years ago, you wouldn't have heard about it so much, but it certainly exploded over the last 2 years. I think beginning so dramatically during the pandemic. I remember, watching the news on a daily basis. It was one of like a constant theme. This business was hit with this business got breached. This business was hit with ransomware. This business got shut down. I mean, almost nightly. And there were so many different stories on the news at all times that continue today about why it's happening, how it's happening, and the threat to our businesses. It's really a shift that has taken place. A major part of my job is just educating people about what it is that is the threat to your business and what you can do to protect it. Something that we hear a lot today, and I'm sure that Brian would share with you if you talk to him, one of the big things that we will hear, that Brian will hear when he first starts talking to a new prospect is, hey, that's great, I'm all set, I've already got, I have backup, right? And it's something that we talk about at Datto all the time, that one of the biggest jobs that we have and our partners have, Brian at NSA has, is to educate people about what is backup technology solution versus business continuity, and why backup solution is no longer enough, and that if your business is going to be safe in today's technical environment, you really need to move away from traditional backup and into business continuity. And that's what I hope to share with you today, is the reasons why, and to teach you about how Cirrus technology, that is the flagship product, the backbone of NSA's business continuity offering, can bring this to you. So this slide, just a little guide to get you in the mood, to guide our conversation, that, in the old days of threats to your business, and talking about backup technology, the major threats that people would think about are storms or catastrophic events, stories of, hurricanes coming through, tornadoes coming through and wiping out data, right? Your location was compromised, something happened to the server, we can't get our data. Actually, the first thing that, before all this ransomware exploded, that put Datto on the map was Hurricane Sandy. We are proud to say, and it put Datto on the map from a technical power player, was that most of the East Coast, at that time, a lot of our partners were on the East Coast, and those businesses were able to maintain up and running, and our Datto partners and Datto tech support scrambled during that event, and our partners and our partners' customers made it through that event in very good shape. And it was something that put the tech world on notice, these Datto solutions that kept the East Coast up and running. Here's what we're dealing with today. So, I always like to, when I do this presentation, I like to go back to this and say, okay, so this was one threat, right? And this was one level of protection. And this might happen to your business, right? Sandy was a catastrophic event, but it did, that doesn't happen every year, right? So what were the odds at that point that your data would be wiped out in your business, right? Some people felt comfortable taking that chance. Here's the problem today. I'm going to call it the evolution of cyber threats. I've done so much learning in the past 2 years about where these things come from, how they happen, why it's prevalent, and why you need to be worried. And a lot of times when I give this presentation, I'll get comments on the end of, oh, geez, Liz, you scared us. I don't mean to scare you. I mean to educate you so that you can protect yourself. The threats today to our business, sure, there is still those threats of natural disasters or a pipe bursting over your server room and getting water all over your server and frying it, and you can't get access to your data. The world is different today. Today, the major threat, those are once in a while things. I promise you that every single day, all over the world, from many different sources, there are people trying to break into your business, to lock you out of your data because they think that they could get money from you. The statistic today is that 82% of small and medium businesses will be hit with ransomware this year, 82%. So it's no longer like, oh, what are the chances of a storm coming up? It's okay, that could happen, but also this, not could happen, probably will happen. So today we talk about a layered approach. You need to protect your business, you need to protect yourself in the event so that when this happens, you are ready. So it's not if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen. So what are you going to do today to make sure that when it happens to your business, you're ready? And that's what we're here to talk about today. These cyber criminals, here's who they're preying on, you and me, right? Many of these threats come in the form of a rogue email, a phishing attempt is what it's called. And they're very clever. And I will say, I have the benefit of here working at Datto, seeing historical successful phishing attempts and how they have evolved over time, and you would be blown away. What used to be somewhat easy when this whole threat started, because you could kind of tell, I remember, and I'm sure all of us remember receiving emails and you just know that something is off. The person that wrote this email that is trying to convince me to click on this FedEx tracking number, clearly, maybe it does, you can tell that English isn't their first language or something is a little bit off, it's suspicious. Well, they've gotten more sophisticated. Some of these emails that I see, I mean, literally, I would have no idea that that was a phishing email. They have technology that can vet out that, let's say, you're an active orderer on Amazon, right? And or on FedEx or something. It's an email from something that you do use, right? And it comes with all of the right trappings to make it look like it's actually an email from one of these providers, and it's an email for something that you probably would get a normal email like that. Your order is delayed, click here for more information, or something like that. Or believe it or not, Frank, who sits in the office next to you, right, asking you, can you check out this document for him because whatever reason, can you just double check this for me? They can, they have technology that knows what would be familiar to you that will trick you into clicking on it. So, I mean, the threat is, it is getting harder and harder to avoid making these mistakes. So we are all part of this major threat today. People, it's people. They're going after the people in your business to try and fool them into doing something that will expose passwords so that they can get into your system. And by the way, when they get in, they're going to sit there for a while. This makes some more of that layered technology so important, because today what they do, awfully good at tricking the people in your business to clicking on something. And those people may not know right away that they clicked on something. And so what these threat actors are doing today is they're finding access, and then they call it land and expand. They're going to sit in your environment. The game is not to lock you out immediately. It's to corrupt as many things as they can before they lock you out so that they become more powerful. Scary stuff. This is an example, something that a lot of the Datto presenters use. This was actually a few years back. You may or may not remember, there was a false warning for a missile attack in Hawaii. The radar system and the emergency alerting system tripped and warned Hawaii that there was a missile attack on the way. I remember hearing about it in the news. It was before I worked at Datto, and we used this example widely. And I remember first seeing it here and thinking, oh, I remember hearing about that. So many of you might as well. Excuse me a second. So this is how it happened. And I just want to make this story real for you. This is a guy that worked in the Emergency Alerting Center in Hawaii. Here he is at work. He posted this picture up on their site, on his face. I think it actually was on a Facebook site. Somewhere he posted this on social media, proud of his job, you know, maybe showing his friend, here I am at work, whatever. Notice anything about this picture? You and I would not, because we're not looking to do anything. But the wrong people saw it, and they probably were targeting this place because it would have a fantastic effect if they could hack into this business. Well, there was something in this picture that they saw that allowed them to get in. So if you guys were a live audience, I'd ask if anybody saw it. If anybody does see it, drop it in the chat. I'm going to pause for 30 seconds here to see if anybody can see what it was that gave it away. So I just paused for a second to give you guys a second. Here it is. I'm going to show you. He had a sticky. I do this, right? Well, before I worked at Datto, I do this. I try not to do it anymore. We have continual education here about how to keep your systems secure. We have to, because we're protecting America's businesses. We take it very seriously. This poor guy had a sticky on his screen here with his password to get into the system. So again, somebody was waiting and watching for an opportunity. They saw the picture, they got the password, they hacked in, and they created this warning. So again, I know I could be guilty of something like this. Again, this is one of the reasons that these threats have exploded today. Here is what we're dealing with. It used to be that when we thought about situations like that, you would think about, well, you know, how much of a problem would it be? Who is actually doing this? Is it some disgruntled person in their basement that's a really good coder and hacks in? And again, what are the odds that that is going to happen to me? Well, today, that's one type of threat vector, is the ransomware developers. Oh, I want to go back, sorry. Ransomware developers that can hack in and get access. Insider threats, right? Unfortunately, we hear about in the news all the time, people that have been let go from the work and different things happen. People with access to systems, this has been, look, it says here, 21 billion lost every year in people that had inside access to systems that did something to gain access, right? Here's another one, the mob, the mafia, organized crime. Yep, they're into cybercrime. So nation states, again, that I think became more publicly aware during the pandemic. I do remember during the pandemic them warning us, you know, you would hear on the news every night, different countries that were disengaged with the worldwide community that are getting involved in cyber threats and trying to threaten US businesses, right? We have a whole new vector today. That last one, the Internet of Things hackers. Again, if you were live, I'd ask for a show of hands. I have a remote thermostat in my house. I also have Alexa, right? We have cell phones. There are web cameras, right? Web camera on your door. These are different ways that people they are weaknesses, they are portholes, they are openings, right? The more openings there are, the greater the chance that someone will find a way to slip through one. I remember another Datto story that the presenters will tell when we do these national shows. There was a heist in Vegas, and the FBI got involved. Crazy story, and they tried to figure out, you know, many millions of dollars were stolen. The FBI did a forensic analysis. I think we have someone that might need to mute. But anyway, they did a forensic analysis trying to figure out what happened and how someone was able to hack in and steal this money, tremendous amount of money they stole. In the end of the investigation, what they discovered was, and again, it's crazy, this casino had a fish tank, and in the fish tank, there was a temperature control, thermostat, whatever it was, something that measured the temperature of the water, and it was web-based. It was connected to the network. Somehow, some hackers got in through the fish tank, through that temperature control, was able to gain access to the casino's network, and that's how the heist happened. So again, things that are innocent, things that you and I wouldn't think of, these are opportunities for people that are out there looking for an opportunity. So here's the question. We know 82% of America's small and medium-sized businesses are going to be hit with a cybercrime. What we need to ask ourselves as we build our layered solution to protect against this is, do we have a traditional backup solution or do we have a business continuity solution? I'm going to get into the differences between that and why it's important today to have that business continuity solution. The odds are up, it's 82%. So it's not an if, it's a when, and you need to be prepared. Traditional backup. Here's an article. Ransomware victims thought their backups were safe. They were wrong. Why are backups vulnerable to ransomware? Traditional backup technology is a series of backups. It's a chain. It's called a chain of backups. And they're dependent. That chain is dependent on each other. So each backup is dependent on the success of the previous backup. If something happens here on this backup that occurred, let's say, a month ago, all of the data and the chain from that point is going to be corrupt, and possibly the data prior to that backup as well. They are dependent chains, and if something gets compromised in that chain, the whole thing gets corrupted. This is an article, and you can't get into it here, but again, ransomware is getting smarter, attacking backups to prevent recovery, and there are some steps that you can take to protect yourself from this. Traditional backup, again, I'm going slow to try and stress the difference between the two. Traditional backup has this dependent chain. It's cloud only or local only and file-based backup, right? If you can get back into it to restore, that would be what you're looking for. But a ransomware attack is going to potentially damage the backups or block you from getting in. And because these chains are dependent, there's really nothing that you can do about it. Now we'll get into continuity. Hybrid cloud-based backup. What that means, this little box here, that's a depiction of one of our smaller Cirrus boxes. We're taking those backups, right? A Cirrus solution, a continuity-based Cirrus box, takes a series of snapshots. They are independent of each other. It is called snapshots built on immutable chain technology. What does immutable chain technology mean? Each of these snapshots stand alone. They are not dependent. That's the main difference, right? So we have traditional backup technology. It's all dependent. Something happens to one, the whole thing is gone, right? In immutable chain technology, these series of snapshots that are backups all stand independently. So if somebody does compromise one of them, it doesn't matter. Somebody compromised one from a month ago, and this one snapshot is compromised, NSA gets an alert. They set it aside. They restore your system. You're back up and running because there's nothing wrong with the rest of the snapshots. They are image-based. Delivering superior RTO and RPO, fancy term. What does that mean? That means, again, if something does happen, NSA gets an alert immediately because they are monitoring it. And with a few clicks of the button, and literally a few clicks of the button within a short period of time. I've seen it happen in as little as 60 seconds. Depends on how much data is on that system, but fair to say, regardless of the size of the system, within a matter of minutes, you are back up and running as if nothing ever happened. For those of you that don't know what ransomware looks like, if you do get hit with a ransomware attack, you literally get this like lock on your screen, like a visual, right? And it would say, so-and-so, you know, a Bitcoin account, you're locked out of your systems, you have X amount of time to deposit X amount of money into this Bitcoin account, or your data will be destroyed, right? Literally, your whole business, no one can get on the system, right? So I ask you to imagine, what would that be like? Today's businesses, I know here at my job, I'm sitting here talking to you today from our presentation room, but on my desk, I have 4 screens, right? And I need all of those screens to do my job today. I've got NetSuite, I've got, you know, Salesforce, I've got, you know, many other systems that I use throughout the course of my day. I need to be able to get access to all of them my day moving. So there's a combination of things that make this problem, you know, so unique. It's not just the growth of threats, it's also how much we all rely on technology to run our businesses today. So those two things are coming together at an intersection that is creating this problem. With business continuity, here is the main differentiator. Business continuity is built to eliminate downtime. Backup technology is built to give you a copy of stuff, right? So imagine copy of stuff, it's not safe, right? It can be wiped out because it's dependent and it's in a chain, versus built to eliminate downtime. Independent snapshots. You cause a problem with one of them, that's fine. I'm going to remove it, get past it, back up and running. So that's the picture that I wanted to paint for you. The main difference is, with continuity, the goal is to keep your business running. With backup, the goal is to give you a copy. But what if that copy, you're locked out of the copy, or it gets corrupted? A lot of times with ransomware too, a lot of companies, they pay that ransom and they get back to the data, but it's corrupted. I mean, these are the things that are happening on a regular basis today. I'll paint you a picture of how our continuity solution works here. We talked about instant virtualization, right? NSA gets an alert, they click a button, you're back up and running. Here's your system, there's the ransomware lock. That is literally a snapshot of what a ransomware lock would look like. That is an actual ransomware lockout screen. Can't get past it, that's all you see is that lock, right? So your system here, we know that if you have a Datto system in place, all of that data that from your systems is backed up, it sits on the Datto. So in the event of an emergency, you've been locked out, well, guess what? Your Datto system comes in as a stand-in, almost server that you can run off of, that will let your business keep going while NSA gets in, right? They're going to have you running off of the Datto, keep your business moving while they now get up and in and maybe tend to whatever needs to be addressed on the server level to get past the ransomware attack. So your benefits are, there is no, you know, you're reducing downtimes from weeks, maybe months, to minutes. Today, again, we'll talk about those factors that make it more important. Another thing is the supply chain crisis. I had a partner call me recently to just verify. He wanted to double check. He has his client got hit with ransomware. He's got him running off of the Datto. The server got fried. He had to order parts. He was given a 3-month waiting time. He wanted to make sure, is there an extra charge for running off of the Datto through our cloud in that period of time? So the cloud, all the data's on the cloud, back to the device. They're running in real time at the speed of business off of their Cirrus. But is there going to be an extra charge for this, because it's going to be 3 or 4 months? I was happy to remind him that that's why he bought a Cirrus, and that the fee that they paid for the Cirrus, it's an all-in charge. And no matter how long you need it, as long as it's a real event, there's no charge. So this is peace of mind. It helps your RTO and RPO, that fancy term, getting back to the speed of business. We're storing this device. Remember, we talked about our data centers, the 9 data centers that we have worldwide, 2 of them in the United States, bi-coastal, so that we're backing you up in our cloud, but then it's also dual cloud. It's sending it back to the bi-coastal cloud. So again, we have you backed up in a lot of different places to provide a total data protection solution. So again, we talk about a layered approach. We offer not just the Cirrus, but other products as well. We're able to provide protection for your Office 365 environment, Azure workloads. It is the goal of Datto is to protect the data from this threat, no matter where the data lives. Again, can't stress enough how rampant this is and how real the threat is to your business, not if, it's when. We all heard a couple of examples here. You guys know about this one, the Colonial Pipeline. Just to make it real, $5 million. That was the ransom that they had to pay to get back in. And I remember it taking months for the effects of that to settle down. 82% from February 2022. This was the report at that time. 82% of ransomware attacks are targeted at small businesses. 60% real statistic. 60% of small companies close within 6 months of being hacked. Why is that? Because even after paying that ransom, if they can get the ransom, right? Depends what it is. But even if they pay it, a lot of times you pay it and the data is still corrupted. You think it can't happen to you, Colonial Pipeline, that's a large company. Why would they want to go after my dental practice, my manufacturing firm? I only have, 50 people that work here, whatever. Well, you know what? It does happen. Unfortunately, the truth is that the smaller companies are an easier target. Larger companies have enterprise software, they're harder to hack into. So America's small and medium-sized companies have actually become a very desired target, as those are easier targets for them. So again, real article here. 8-person company, their ransom was $150,000. And by the way, if you have cybersecurity insurance, the news that I have for you there, if you're not partnering with someone like NSA, when you get your questionnaire and fill out what you have on that application, the truth is you probably don't have cybersecurity insurance. They ask very specific questions. They're going to rattle off a list of things that they require. And you need to know what you have, because if you say yes to some of those things and something does happen and you try and make a claim, they're going to ask for proof. And if you cannot provide the proof that you said yes, you have it, and you don't, there's no payout. Showing you this report from the Redmond Journal. We talked about immutable chain technology, the backbone of the Datto solution. That is one of the key steps to protecting your business from ransomware. Why? Because each of those, I just to stress it again, each of the snapshots are independent. They don't rely on each other. So if something happens to one of them, you just go to the next one. We'll talk about Datto, including our systems include ransomware detection. Again, why is that important? Remember that I talked to you about their goals are different today. They're not looking to get in, lock you out that same day, and just try and make you pay a dividend. Oh no, they're smarter than that. Land and expand, right? So it's in, hang out, see how many things that they can compromise, and then make their demand. Here's the good news. With the Datto Cirrus, there is ransomware detection included with the solution. So again, NSA is monitoring these solutions. They have a screen. They get alerts at any of their partners, warnings that there might be something funny going on with this machine. They should investigate further. Here's how ransomware detection works. We run analytics to comparing the 2 most recent snapshots to identify if there's been some ransomware footprints, notifying NSA of any changes. Something here doesn't look right, NSA. You need to look into the device. We think that there has been some sort of compromise here. And then they will be told, like, okay, these 3 snapshots, these are the ones that there's something going on with. You need to go to this file to be able to expedite the restore. So again, we're protecting you, we're identifying what's been compromised, and telling them how to get you back up and running. So hope that was helpful today. Again, my goal is not to scare, it's to educate. You know, I even in my personal life, you know, I have friends that own businesses that have talked to me about, like, what do you think, Liz? I have this or that or whatever. And I say to them, do you know if it's continuity? Do you know if it's continuity or is it traditional backup? That's the first thing I'll say to them. And then the second thing that I will remind them is that, and again, I don't sell direct to businesses. We only deal with people like NSA, right? I say, are you working with an MSP? Because you need to have that MSP come in and evaluate what you have. A lot of these companies that they might claim to be business continuity, I will tell you, disaster strikes, something is not working because maybe their solution does not provide, like the Datto solution, we test every screenshot. So again, that ransomware detection, we also do all of those snapshots are vetted and tested, every single snapshot. If that Cirrus device sees there's something wrong, NSA gets an alert. Most other solutions do not offer that. So again, one of our biggest sources of customers are people that thought they had a continuity solution. Something happened. They went to use it. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? Why couldn't they restore? Why couldn't they virtualize? Because the snapshots or the backups, there's no testing included. Nobody tested them for a year. No one realized that really those backups were not working, have not been successful for 3 months, 6 months, a year. They can't virtualize. So I encourage you, you know, NSA is here to help. Brian does a fantastic job. One of my favorite partners, you know, the white glove approach that they offer, the understanding of the technology. They've got very senior technicians there. The folks that I deal with on the technical side are very knowledgeable about our solutions. They stay up to date with all the current releases, and they're very good at custom fitting their clients' environments with the right solution. So, Brian, I'm gonna pass it over to you to talk about your special offer.
Awesome. Liz, I want to thank you for taking the time to give such a great presentation on Datto and the capabilities of it. And what I'd like to do is tell folks that we've got an incredible offer here for people that are interested. So we have a free evaluation, right? We want to look at your current environment, see where we can help. We also have a limited time offer for a big discount on the Datto appliance as well. So, you know, as Liz had mentioned, there's a Datto appliance that lives locally in your environment, in addition to the cloud backup that happens with Datto. So there's not a single point of failure there. You actually have both. So we're offering 80% discount off of the Datto appliance. That can translate, depending on how many terabytes of data you're backing up, to between $2,500 and $10,000 off your appliance. So that's valid for 90 days from this webinar. And Datto has, you know, granted us the ability to offer such an incredible discount for folks. So I want to thank Datto for that. And I want you to take advantage of that for sure. One of the things that Liz had mentioned was about land and expand, right? So I want to talk a little bit about how devastating that can be, especially for a distributor. So they're not just simply looking to lock out your system, charge you a ransom, and, you know, maybe have you pay it, etc. They're going to lie in wait. They're going to want to be able to infect your customers and your vendors. And once they've been able to do that as best they can, now they'll lock out your system. But how devastating is it that your customers and your vendors have gotten ransomware through you? it's far deeper than just infecting your environment. It's also infecting your vendors and your customers. So it's a pretty nasty thing that's going on these days. Liz also mentioned about, you know, emails that people get that you know, can, you know, somebody can click on and so forth, and they're getting more sophisticated. So they're tapping social media these days. So it's people that you know that they're basically offering up maybe, you know, something that you click on, somebody that you know. It's like, oh, I know so and so, and they're sending me this and telling me to click on this, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So they're getting smarter these days. Again, some of these are nation states, right? It's no longer the guy in his garage that's doing the ransomware attacks. It's, you know, people from Korea and Russia and other rogue states that are investing millions and millions of dollars into trying to find a way into your system. So it's changed, you know, quite a bit.
Yeah, and Brian, you know, I'll add to that. Something I learned recently at one of our security conferences that they had blew my mind. On the dark web, you can actually subscribe to a hacking service where you pay a monthly fee and they will conduct ransomware attacks on your behalf. You don't even do it. They just launch these attacks and the money goes to you. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So people that have no experience or sophistication in it can get in on this game, right? So I mean, it's a real threat. I do want to just touch base real quick on immutable stored snapshots. So that is unique to Datto, and I want to tell folks why we partner with Datto. Not only the ransomware detection that they do, but also the fact that we can recover clients very quickly. Liz mentioned that we can recover within an hour, sometimes within 30 minutes. And that's huge for clients, right? I mean, if you think about traditional backup, right? People have focused on data. Well, okay, maybe your backup system works and you get your data backed up. Well, guess what? You get a ransomware attack, you've got to completely rebuild your servers, right? I've got to reload operating systems and software applications and all my security and my passwords, et cetera, et cetera. And now I can recover my data. That can take weeks for that to happen versus a snapshot of your environment that is isolated from any other snapshot that takes place. So once an attack happens and it's realized, we can go back one step before that and recover. And it's a recovery of a snapshot of the entire server that takes place. So it is the operating system, it is the applications, it is the data, it's everything, right? You're up and running and good to go within a very short period of time. So I can't stress enough why that's so important. Also, Datto does that in the Red Hat Linux environment, which, as you folks know, your ERP solution through Infor is Red Hat Linux. There's a lot of backup providers out there that focus on Microsoft environments only, right? Microsoft operating system. So that's a huge plus as well. So I will certainly invite anybody that's got questions to please enter them into the chat. We'll give it a minute or so here to see if we get any questions from anybody that Liz might be able to answer for you. Well, while we're waiting on those questions, Liz, can you pull up my contact information real quick? I just want people
Sure,
to
let's
have it, yep, at the ready. You know,
with your phone number and everything. So
exactly, yeah. So people can reach out to me. We'll set up a call. We can do an analysis of your environment. Again, we can set up something specific as far as a call for what it is you might be looking for and set up a particular need. So let me see, we do have a question here. So Kevin, thank you for your question. So Kevin asks, does this apply to Cloud Suite as well as on-prem server? It absolutely does, Kevin, and I thank you for that question. So we've got clients that are on Datto in both environments. So Datto has the on-premise appliance, right? They also have a hosted appliance as well. So for those folks that are looking to, you know, basically free themselves of servers in their physical environment, Datto's on board with that also. So if you want a virtual server of your Datto appliance, that does exist, and we can support you in the Cloud Suite as well as the on-prem SXE. Thank you for that. That's a great question. Any other questions from the folks on the line? Okay, I'll hang out for a little bit here just to see if anything else comes in. We'll certainly respond to those questions. But I'd like to thank Liz again for your time, for spending today on the webinar, as well as all the attendees as well. Thank you for taking time out of your day. You will be getting, again, a recorded session of this webinar. Please feel free to share that with your team as you wish. Also on the NSA website, we do keep all our recordings of all of our webinars, and you'll be able to find this Datto webinar recording there as well. Please reach out to me. Let's take advantage of this particular tremendous opportunity to engage with Datto and to get a huge discount off of the appliance if it's something you decide to move forward with. I am going to steal back for you guys about 10 minutes of the hour to give you some time back, and want to thank everybody once again for attending today's session.